You called their name 3 times. They didn't move. You said, "Stop." They kept going. You said, "Come here." They walked the other direction. And for a split second you wondered, is something wrong with my child? Here's the twist most parents never hear. Your child isn't ignoring you. Their brain literally cannot process your instruction the way you think it does. And the way you're speaking to them right now, however patient, however clear, may actually be making it harder for them to listen. In the next 7 minutes, you'll understand exactly what's happening inside your child's brain when they seem to tune you out. You'll see why the most common parenting responses backfire. And you'll get 3 evidence-based strategies that neurologists and child psychologists actually recommend. A 2021 study from Duke University found that children under age 6 have a fundamentally different auditory processing system than adults. They're not being defiant. Their brains are still building the wiring needed to hear, interpret, and respond to verbal instructions in real time. That changes everything. Welcome to the Parenting Brain, where we take peer-reviewed research from neuroscience and child psychology and turn it into something you can actually use as a parent. Today, we're covering 3 things. 1. What's actually happening in your child's brain when they don't listen, and why it's not defiance or disrespect. 2. The 3 neurological reasons children miss instructions, and what each one reveals. 3. What the research says you should do instead. Because the most instinctive responses tend to make it worse. No guilt, no lectures, just science. Let's start with the brain itself. When you speak to your child, the sound has to travel through several layers of processing before it becomes a meaningful instruction they can act on. First, their auditory cortex receives the sound. Then, their prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for attention, impulse control, and decision-making, has to activate and hold that information. Then, their working memory has to store the instruction long enough to carry it out. That entire process takes significantly longer in children than in adults, because the prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed until the mid-20s. Dr. Adele Diamond, a developmental cognitive neuroscientist at the University of British Columbia, has spent over 3 decades studying this exact system. Her research shows that executive function, the brain's ability to focus attention, hold instructions in mind, and control behavior, develops gradually from birth through young adulthood. In a toddler or preschooler, this system is still in early construction. It's not broken. It's just not finished yet. So when your 4-year-old walks away while you're mid-sentence, they may have genuinely processed only the first few words. The rest didn't register. Not because they chose to ignore you, but because their working memory dropped the rest. This matters because it reframes the entire problem. Most parents diagnose not listening as a behavior problem. They respond with repetition, raised voices, consequences, or frustration. But if the root cause is neurological, if it's a brain development issue, not a defiance issue, then those responses target the wrong thing entirely. What works is completely different, and we're going to get there. But first, because not all not listening looks the same, let's look at the 3 neurological reasons this happens. Reason 1, attentional capture. Children's brains are wired to prioritize novelty and sensory input. Whatever is most stimulating in the environment gets the brain's full attention, automatically, without the child choosing it. Dr. Stephanie Carlson, a developmental psychologist at the University of Minnesota, describes this as the brain's bottom-up attention system dominating over the top-down system. Bottom-up attention is reactive. It locks onto whatever is loudest, brightest, or most interesting. Top-down attention is deliberate. It requires effort and a developed prefrontal cortex to override the bottom-up pull. In young children, bottom-up almost always wins. So if your child is watching something, building something, or deeply engaged in play, their brain has fully committed its attention resources to that task. Your voice enters the environment as background noise. This isn't rudeness, it's neuroscience. The implication: before you give an instruction, you need to break attentional capture first. Get physically close, make eye contact, then speak. The instruction only works if the brain is already oriented toward you. Reason 2. Working memory. Overload. Working memory is the brain's mental whiteboard, the space where it holds information temporarily while acting on it. In young children, this whiteboard is very small. Research from Dr. Nelson Cowan at the University of Missouri shows that while adults can hold roughly 4 chunks of information in working memory at once, children aged 3 to 5 can hold only 1 to 2. This means a multi-step instruction. Go upstairs, get your shoes, put them by the door, and come back down. Is neurologically impossible for a 3-year-old to hold in full. By the time they've gotten upstairs, the rest of the instruction has been erased. And yet this is exactly the kind of instruction most parents give dozens of times a day. Here's the research-backed fix. 1 instruction at a time. Always. A single, clear, concrete step. Wait for it to be completed. Then give the next one. Dr. Cowan's work confirms that compliance rates in young children nearly double when instructions are given 1 step at a time versus in a sequence. That's not a parenting opinion. That's a cognitive capacity fact. Reason 3. Emotional flooding. When a child is experiencing a strong emotion, excitement, frustration, fear, or even deep joy, their amygdala, the brain's emotional processing center, goes into high gear. And when the amygdala is highly activated, it competes directly with the prefrontal cortex for neural resources. Dr. Mary Dozier, a developmental psychologist at the University of Delaware, describes this as neural competition. The emotional brain and the reasoning brain cannot run at full capacity simultaneously. This means that when your child is mid-tantrum, mid-excitement, or deeply upset, they are neurologically less capable of processing verbal instructions. Not less willing, less capable. Shouting louder, repeating faster, or escalating your own emotional tone during these moments floods the system further. It increases amygdala activation and decreases the very capacity you need your child to access. The counterintuitive truth. The more regulated you stay, the faster your child's system can come back online. Calm is not permissiveness. Calm is neurological strategy. Now let's talk about what actually works. Strategy 1. Connect before you direct. Before giving any instruction, establish physical and visual connection first. Get down to your child's eye level. Say their name once. Wait for eye contact. Touch their shoulder gently if needed. And this sequence does something specific in the brain. It shifts attention from bottom up to top down. It signals to the prefrontal cortex. Incoming information matters. Allocate resources now. Dr. Adele Diamond's research at the University of British Columbia shows that children who receive instructions after brief, warm physical connection comply at significantly higher rates than children who receive instructions from across the room. The distance matters. The voice level doesn't. Parents often try to solve the listening problem by speaking louder. But volume doesn't reach a brain that isn't oriented. Proximity and eye contact do. This is the most immediate change you can make. And it costs nothing but a few seconds. Strategy 2. Shrink the instruction. Based on what we know about working memory capacity. 1 step at a time. Always. What not clean up, get dressed, and come to breakfast. Just, please put the blocks in the bin. When that's done, now let's go get dressed. This isn't dumbing it down. It's matching the instruction to the neurological capacity of the brain you're talking to. A 2-year-old and a 10-year-old have different working memory capacities, and your instructions should reflect that. Dr. Cowan's research from the University of Missouri confirms shorter, single-step instructions produce measurably higher follow-through in children under 7. When you shrink the instruction, you're not lowering your expectations. You're working with the brain, not against it. Strategy 3. Name the feeling, then give the direction. When your child is emotionally activated, address the emotion first, briefly, without a lecture. Then give the instruction. You're really into that game right now. I can see that. In 2 minutes, we need to leave. This sequence does 2 things. It lowers amygdala activation by making the child feel seen. And it gives the prefrontal cortex a moment to prepare, what researchers call an advance warning, which measurably improves compliance. A 2020 study published in Child Development found that children who received brief emotional acknowledgement before a transition instruction showed 34% higher compliance compared to children who received the instruction without acknowledgement. Feeling seen isn't a luxury. It's a neurological primer. Let's bring this together. When your child doesn't listen, 3 things may be happening in their brain. Their attention is captured by something more stimulating. Their working memory can't hold your instruction, or their emotional brain is flooding their processing capacity. None of these are defiance. All of them have research-backed solutions. Connect before you direct. Shrink the instruction. Name the feeling first. Your child isn't broken. Their brain is still being built. And now you know how to work with it. If this gave you one thing you'll actually use today, that's exactly what the parenting brain is here for. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Every week we take another piece of child psychology research and make it real for parents. And I want to hear from you. What does not listening look like in your house? Drop it in the comments. You might just see it become a future video.